dodge this. There's a certain belief that arrows are easy to dodge, and therefore historical archers use speed shooting to get around that, and eventually armies moved on to gunpowder weapons. This fact has been claimed by a few presenters and enthusiasts, and often repeated by commentators. As you know, dodging relies on you seeing the arrow coming and reacting to it by evading. Now, the speed of the arrow strongly depends on the draw weight of the bow and the materials of the bow and the arrow. Just some quick figures. An English war bow of 150-pound draw could launch an arrow up to 170 feet per second, or around 50 meters per second. Though it should be noted that over distance, this would very quickly decelerate. In comparison, a modern recurve bow can launch an arrow up to around 225 feet per second, or around 68 meters per second. And modern compound bows can reach around 300 feet per second, which is around 90 meters per second. The average human reaction time to a visual stimulus is around 0.25 seconds, and for an audio stimulus, 0.17 seconds. To dodge an arrow, you would have to see the arrow coming, your brain has to process what's happening, and then you must take the correct physical evasive maneuver. Given this necessary sequence of events, and being very, very conservative with values, I would calculate that you could dodge an arrow from a 150-pound war bow if you had at least 20 meters of spacing. And for a modern bow, whether it's recurve or compound, you would need at least 25 to 30 meters. Again, being realistic and conservative. In theory, this dodge would be easily accomplished under the parameters of what we know archers did in history. We know archers could engage enemies well over 150 meters away, over 200, 300, or even further. So you had plenty of time to see the arrows coming in and obviously dodging. But can we fairly and realistically say that historical soldiers could dodge arrows? There are several factors which weigh against this dodge stat. The first is you have to consider the weight of the arms and armor carried by the person. You also have to consider the mental condition of that person, including fatigue and stress. You have to factor in the physical condition as well as the physical space in which the person can take evasive action. Now, this dodge could be tested in real life, but the conditions would be quite different. Firstly, this is a controlled environment. My assistant, if I have one, isn't actually trying to kill me. I know it's coming, and I'm wearing light, modern clothing which I can move around freely in. This would not be the same if you were a French foot soldier, weighed down with arms and armor, chainmail, hauberk, gambeson, a polearm or a shield, a very heavy helmet. You're tired, you're fatigued, you're hungry, you've been marching all day, all night, now you're trudging uphill through the mud, you've got your French overlord yelling at you, there are people around you pushing and shoving, and when the arrows come whistling down, I don't think dodging's going to happen. Not unless the entire French army was moving like crabs. To extend on this, let's go through some crucial information that we need to factor in when evaluating how easy it was to dodge an arrow. Firstly, you can only dodge if you can see the arrow coming. If you can't see it coming because your head's down or the arrow's coming from a different direction, then you can't dodge it. And given that this wasn't one archer taking the time to shoot at you, but thousands of archers shooting at their own pace, spread across a very wide line or on the flanks, you couldn't see it coming. Also note that you're not dodging a single arrow from a single archer. Again, we're not visualizing a battle as a select handful of elite speed shooting commandos. This is a normal army with thousands of archers, and even if you somehow dodge one arrow, there are still thousands more which are heading in your general direction. And we really shouldn't downplay the volume that a formation of archers could output. If you look at the Battle of Agincourt, there were approximately 6,000 to 7,000 English bowmen. Now, an English bowman at the time would be expected, at the very least, to be able to shoot around 10 arrows per minute. And this is a very conservative and slow value. 7,000 English bowmen shooting continuously for 1 minute will output 70,000 arrows. In the course of the engagement at Agincourt, it has been said that up to 500,000 arrows were shot. Unless you're an anime character or a Chinese general from a historical TV drama, you weren't going to dodge that. And likewise, you don't need to use some unorthodox speed shooting method to overcome a single person's dodge stat when you have thousands of archers shooting at the same time. If you're wondering how a modern day entertainer could dodge an arrow successfully on camera, just remember this. As the shooter, you're not aiming at me. You're aiming at this spot over here. As long as I'm not standing in that line, then I have dodged the arrow. I'm not really reacting to you shooting as much as I am going, you're about to shoot me, you've hit that spot there. If this was a realistic scenario, as with most combat situations, if someone is trying to use an evasive maneuver, then the other person would wait till they finish their maneuver and then execute the shot. To conclude, while it's technically possible to dodge an arrow, this is very unlikely to have happened in real battlefield conditions. You didn't always know where the missile was coming from and where it's going, and very often you might be hit regardless of what you did. It was far more sensible to defend yourself using your shield or your armor rather than trying to take evasive maneuvers. The very fact that armor was so effective at stopping arrows if you got hit was the reason why bows fell out of favor when guns were introduced. And as far as dodging is concerned, it's far less likely that the target dodged and far more likely that the archer missed. Anyway, this is NUSensei. Hope you found this interesting and helpful. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.